Lesson 3 is the story of David and Goliath. The Philistine Goliath stood 6 cubits in a span, somewhere between 9 and 11 feet, but nobody knows for sure. His impenetrable bronze armor repelled the best warrior's strikes, and his words turned the Israelite soldiers into whimpering babies. For 40 days he proposed a challenge on behalf of the Philistine army. "Will anyone fight me? Is your God dead? I, Goliath of Gath, challenge anyone to a duel. If I win, you will all become our servants, but if you win, we'll become your servants. Will any man fight me?" When David entered the camp, he greeted his 3 older brothers as Goliath once again shouted his taunt at God and Israel. Unlike his brothers, the giant's mocking didn't send fear into him. It infuriated him. Steeped in God's love and goodness, David recognized lies when he heard them. He asked his brothers what the king offered as a reward to fight Goliath. Eliab didn't take that question well. How dare his little brother insult the soldiers? Did David believe he was better than them? Eliab ordered David to go home. David ignored him. He continued questioning the soldiers until one brought him to the king. Saul too dismissed him as just a kid, but David remained resolute. He may not be a soldier, but he could fight. Many times he had saved his flock from lions and bears. Goliath was no different, for God was with him. Saul relented since this boy was insistent, fearless, and willing to accept the challenge. Saul gave David his armor. When David tried on the cumbersome armor, he didn't have time to learn to move in it, let alone fight, so he left it behind. Armed with a slingshot and his staff, David headed to battle, relying on his most important resource, God. He trusted God, who had empowered him in his entire life, would strengthen him now. Couple that with the anointing by the Spirit of the Lord, he didn't waver. As he kneeled at the brook, searching for stones, Goliath laughed at him and felt belittled when this boy brought a stick to the battle instead of a sword. Sarcastically asked David if he thought he was a dog. A confident smile creased David's face. He told the giant and the Israelite army he came in the name of the Lord, and the battle belonged to God. As the Philistine ran toward him, David advanced, drawing a stone out of his pouch. He twirled the sling around and around and took aim, then let it fly. The rock hit the eye opening on Goliath's helmet, the only vulnerable spot, and sunk deep into his forehead. Like a tree being felled, he swayed, then toppled over dead. Using Goliath's own sword, David cut off his head, holding it high. One look at the severed head of their champion sent the Philistines on a fast retreat. But in the Israelite camp, it emboldened the men. With a victorious shout, David and the army pursued their enemy.